Well, welcome. We're starting a little bit late, but that's okay. You know, we're on recovery time. We're not on, kind of, got to get there, got to get it done and all the rest of it. There's a little bit of that, but that's to keep Djemil happy. Welcome. We do this every year. This is our third year that we've done it now. And every year I sort of think, no one's going to come. Why are we doing it? Never going to do it again. All of those sort of things. But I guess that's just me being, kind of unconfident. But actually, what happens is people do come. We make good connections. We go away inspired. Often we go back into circumstances where we have to have a little bit of fight about us. We've got situations and issues that we need to deal with, and sometimes we need to see that slightly far horizon in order to get inspired, to feel able to do, to go in and to face the mundane day-to-day fights that we've got. One of the things, I met a guy a couple of weeks ago called Boro from Bosnia and his mate Zoran from Croatia. And we met in a cafe in London with Tref and we had a chat. And one of the things we resolved to do in the spring is to go and visit the San Padriano rehab in Rimini in Italy. 1,700 people on a programme. May not be everyone's cup of tea, because one of the things they do on their website is they make 500,000 litres of wine every year. But I guess that's an Italian cultural thing. They also make cheese and sausage and bread and all sorts of stuff. But so it's like a 2, 3, 4 year programme. It's free. It's not free. Actually, it's free, but it's not cheap, if that makes sense. People give their lives into helping others get their careers on track, get their children back, get their relationships in order, and to move on. And I want to see it because I want to have a bit of inspiration about why we haven't got something like that in this country, because we've got a lot of good rehabs, but maybe we need to step it up a little bit. So back to us here today. In Henley, it's an odd place to have a recovery cafe and to do a conference like this. But I live in Henley and I'm someone in recovery, and 3 years ago we saw that we had a need for a safe place for people in recovery to come, that was outside of a treatment context, that was outside of all the kind of normal things that we do, and we are so underwhelming, I'm almost ashamed to introduce ourselves, because all we do is we open those doors and we have coffee and a bit of music in the background. But at those tables, people have little conversations, and I've seen people find jobs, I've seen people find housing, I've seen people get a bit of inspiration and, kind of move forward in their lives. I've seen people share. I heard one guy for the first time say he was a problem drinker to a resident, or ex-resident from the Lee, and the Lee said, well, so you're an alcoholic then? And the guy, it was a real awkward silence for a minute. I thought it's typical of the Lee. He's like dived in for the jugular. And then the guy turned around and said, actually, yeah, I am. I'm a big wuss as well, by the way, because I tend to get emotional about stuff like this. But that was the first time he'd articulated that word. And that led on to all sorts of stuff for him, positive stuff. And he got help and he moved forward. And it was Djemil that he had that conversation with. And then we saw him 4 weeks later, a month later, back here, and he was all tidied up and he looked different. And I said, what's the matter? What have you done? And he said, I don't know, I'm drinking less. And he couldn't work out why. He hadn't got any help in terms of treatment, but he'd had a kind of encounter with Djemil, and it had made a difference to him. It had changed his thinking a little bit, it challenged him. And I guess that's all we want to do, is we want to be there for each other. We want to be as underwhelming and as normal as we can be. And hopefully today will be a bit of celebration of that, and we've got some good stuff today. We've got Lisa's going to come on in a minute, talking about kind of eating for recovery. Lisa is someone that is dear to us as a family and as a friend. She's helped us. I'm kind of putting on a bit of weight again at the moment, and I feel a bit guilty because Lisa's here, but she knows what to eat, kind of when to eat, how to eat. Exercise. She's got a gym in her own house, like in the garden, that's like a torture chamber. It's got none of the normal gym stuff in it. It's all springs and pulleys and tension and, kind of bits of pipe that you roll on and, all sorts of stuff with running machines and a few other bits. But generally, she will pull you into shape like you wouldn't believe. And we got, you know, Phil. I'm not going to try and introduce Phil because I'm not quite sure what he's going to do. I know he's got some equipment and some music, but he's a lovely guy. And I met Phil probably not that long ago, and I felt an instant connection with you. And we've done a little bit of good work in Buckinghamshire together. And Phil's going to talk a little bit about his own, you know, kind of journey, and that's going to be interspersed with some music because he's actually a professional musician as well. We seem to be carrying on the music theme this year. We're building on last year with John Taylor. Now we've got you, so we're going up. We're going up. We are. He's no one. He's last year, isn't he? I know. Okay, I'm going to stop there rather than try and introduce the afternoon as well. We've got a guy called Viv Armoon coming later on, who is going to be talking about sort of stepping up community action. And I'm going to try and give my own little story, my own journey as well, and talk a little bit about how we integrate the past mistakes that we've had into a kind of better future. And Jacqueline's here. Jacqueline's going to talk to you. Well, I'm not going to try and introduce her because when we first spoke, I was a bit nervous about her coming today. Some of the stuff that she's talking about made me a little bit uncomfortable. I thought, what's going on here? And but actually, I think she's got something to say. And so we thought, you know, as is our tradition, we have a good broad range of people here that we're not just going to speak to the choir and tell each other what we know and what we agree with. We're going to disagree a little bit today. And we've got some tea and coffee and cake and food, so you can have an argument as well if you want. We can keep that going, but I think that's healthy. We've got to challenge each other. We can't just come in and say everything's fine and, you know, toddle off.